Max, what was it? How did this kind of all start? When did you kind of first hear from Coach and the decision to come here?
Yeah, so I'm not super sure on the first day, but I woke up in the morning from a flurry of texts and calls, and I spoke with Coach Jim, and we hit it off that day. And one of the things that really drew me in was how connected the staff was and is and will be. So I got to connect with Jim, Nolan, Mike, and everyone. And I'm very close with Bryce Miller, so I've certainly heard a ton there. And I'm really always been a college baseball rat, so a lot of familiarity with this team, and it was really exciting to really start that process.
I know there's some people that would look at, pitching coordinator for the Mariners and then college baseball. What was it about your desires and your dreams that you wanted to leave the majors and come A&M and do college ball?
I think there are a few things, so I'll just start with like the overall job and then get into the specificity of this program. The opportunity to really just care and take care of 15 to 20 kids, understand that their coping mechanisms are needed, emotional intelligence, growing up, learning how to manage time, understanding how to manage being a better competitor in person. Those are the things that interest me. And after I was 12, I didn't live at home. I went to military school for 6 years. And so I really have a lot of empathy for what that process is like to be away and to be alone. So understanding that if you want to win, you have to really invest in people and develop them as people first, that came through in the first call. And that's specifically why I wanted to be here in Aggie land under Coach Schloss. So there are a flurry of reasons. There's a ton of things about this program that are incredible, but it was the people first that really drew me in.
Coach, so many accolades for such a young person, whether it be Forbes 30 and 30, Athletic 35 under 35. How would you describe your meteoric rise in baseball from the professional ranks now down to college baseball?
I wouldn't really describe it, but I appreciate you saying that. I would just say, I like to go day by day and take care of my guys. So I've got over 600 missed texts that I got to get back to. And I think the ultimate charge of being a coach is to understand. If you just take care of the people around you and invest and understand them, take the temperature of the overall staff and the identity of the person, you'll be fine. So I wouldn't describe it as any sort of fancy ascent. I just think my job is to take care of players.
One of those players, and you mentioned him earlier, Bryce Miller. What are some of the things he said to you about Texas A&M that drew you here, and what is it like working with him at the Mariners?
Yeah, it's super fun working with Bryce, and we have such a wonderful relationship. And in fact, in my first meeting with the staff here, Bryce actually showed up during the All-Star break, came in, gave me a hug, and it was beautiful. So he's family to me. He's family for life. He's going to be down here in the fall, as will a ton of professional pitchers. Many Mariners will be down here as well, and Bryce is just leading that charge. He's also kind of been propagandizing, how great College Station is for years, and everyone else knows, and within the Mariners organization specifically, why this is the place to be, why this really is and can continue to be the flagship program in the SEC.
I know you mentioned that you went to military school for a while. A&M's a school with a pretty rich military history as well. Is there anything there that also helped draw you here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look around, you have to be sensitive to the culture, to the tradition, and being able to honor these principles, whether it's through the uniforms, whether it's through how Coach Jim is so locked in on understanding what the core's principal values are. These are the things that matter most, and I felt like I was leaving what I thought was the best job in professional baseball to come to the best job in college baseball. And in order to do that, you need to understand the foundational principles that this program is built upon, and I think that we understand what Coach Jim's principles are, but how that layers into A&M was just overwhelmingly special. And one of my brothers went to West Point, was deployed as an Army Ranger in Afghanistan, and I got to tell you, I got chills now because he's a beauty, and we're just so thrilled. So when they all come down this fall, it'll be pretty special.
Max, Cole, looking back on this season, pitching-wise or just in general, what were some things that you liked from the team, Coach Schloss, and what were some things that you're looking forward to maybe trying to change or work on?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily want to get into any of the negatives of anything or necessarily the positives, but from an overarching lens, and just doing my due diligence, it became abundantly clear that the dugout culture, that the dugout vibe is really, really well managed, that Coach Schloss and everyone in there can really manage their emotions, manage the time, manage the discussion, and that's really exciting to me. And when you have young kids who are going through a ton of different experiences, some for the first time, having leadership that is composed and focused on the goal in that moment was really exciting. I just think moving forward, we're going to be focused on an identity of dominating the strike zone. We're going to do our absolute best to create ultimate competitors who are focused on that livelihood. So I would expect over the coming years you'll be hearing that echoed quite frequently.
Then my last question for you. Obviously, the draft lost a few talented pitchers. Don't want to say we're starting from ground zero, but got some work to do this offseason. How excited are you to kind of not start fresh, but maybe work with some guys and bring some guys up that maybe Aggie fans haven't really seen much of or know much about?
Yeah, I mean, we have the best recruiting guy in the country, so we're not starting from ground zero. We've brought in incredible players, and they're not just good players, they're good people. And that was a really big distinction in getting to know this staff, is there is a meaningful difference between what is the best present player and who's the right person. And when we get the right person with the right skill set and the right values, we can do really special things. And you know, with Nolan's promotion, it became abundantly clear to me that in a job where most people think it's a job centered on talking, he's a really elite listener. And to get those kids in, you have to listen. So I'm really excited. I think we have all the right ingredients, and we're just going to go one pitch at a time and focus on dominating the strike zone to help this team win.
What was your journey into coaching? And I know you have a very, to dumb it down, probably science-based coaching philosophy when it comes to pitching. Where did that come from as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as a science-based coaching philosophy. What I would just view it as is these kids have one chance in their career, and it's critical to have the evidence. I can't gamble their careers to give them only my opinion, my truth. I also need to provide objective evidence and give them the truth. And very often that's a big difference. So in order to really serve them, I need to be able to provide them with great information. So ultimately, it's not about making players more sciencey, right? You want to use evidence to make them better competitors, and that's a massive distinction. It's a massive distinction how young people view themselves. So I would expect that we view ourselves as competitors before we view ourselves as pitchers, because that ultimately is what we are about, dominating the strike zone one pitch at a time.
And then what's your journey into coaching?
Well, when I was really young, when I was 12, I decided this is what I wanted to do. It was just a no-brainer. So I threw every single arm slot from 6 feet 6 inches high all the way down to 6 inches off the ground on TrackMan, and it's not because I was anything special, but it's important to have empathy for what every arm slot and what every pitch feels like. So in talking to players, I'm able to relate to some degree, and that really was the impetus to getting into this. Before TrackMan and Rapsodo were really things, I was working on pitch modeling and reaching out to sports psychologists, and I think just like any good coach and getting to understand how this program is run, you want to be as resourceful as you can.